Hey, so I wanted to film a precursor to the video that I'm going to be sending you, just to kind of explain some things in a like focused environment before you see the dogs and what we're doing. Um, when I talk about name game or leave it or place, the dogs have that understanding of those skills at home without a question, and they have it here too. It's when we get into harder environments or harder thresholds. So when we get barking, the howling, that type of behavior, that's where we're going to use those core skills. The idea behind core skills are reinforcing our basics. So like when we use name game, it's they're disengaging from whatever they're barking at to I'm going to pay attention and focus with you. So think about it like if you've ever driven a manual vehicle, like you've been in fifth gear and you're trying to get down to third gear, you can't just, go from fifth to third. You have to shift to fourth, then to third. It's teaching them how to um, basically disengage from what they're doing and shift into something else. I can stop what I'm doing and take a breath and go focus over here. So when you do name game and you slowly build up your thresholds, it's teaching them payouts of, oh, it's really worth it to pay attention to mom. It's really worth it to stay on my place caught. So after this, you'll see clips of both of the dogs working individually on place with treats being tossed, but also with dogs or stuffed animal being tossed. And we're not getting the howling like we have been. Um, you also have a clip of Finnegan doing some howling actually at the door. We had some dogs go past the hallway, and I got a really good clip of him doing his, stiff body, and hey, I need you to disengage. And a really good example of that name game. Now, when they're together, this is definitely a harder part because they feed off of each other. There's no question about it. But what I find is when you can work individually and then work them together, you're going to have a higher success rate because they both have that almost like bonded relationship or that to practice with you individually. It's finding ways to set up what our triggers are and then teaching them how to disengage from that trigger. Ideally, we do something like play disengagement where you're playing tug, you call their name, they have to stop, they have to sit, they look at you, they drop the toy. As soon as they're calm, you can toss the toy again, then we can go back into that place. We teach them how to handle a high body composition, so a high energy, and then they pause and they get to go back to the high energy. That when they look at you, it's not a punishment. And sometimes when we have hound dogs, when we have herding dogs, dogs that are usually, doing a job or drive, they don't want to let it go. It's like an adrenaline junkie. No, they want to keep doing the thing that they're loving that they're doing. So it's teaching them that, hey, when you check in with me, you get to go right back, but in a different capacity. It's like feeding, it's like, I use the analogy sometimes of like ice cream. I'm really allergic to ice cream, but I really like ice cream. So instead of me going head first into a carton of ice cream and then paying the consequences later, if I have a scoop or a spoonful of ice cream, it satisfies the drive or the need that I want it, but then I can eat something else as well with it, and I'm not as sick and I'm not dealing with the consequences the same way. So it's kind of like that where we feed the scent work with Finnegan, where he really gets to do puzzle feeders or stuffle mats or things along those lines. For Annabelle, she just wants to what's next, what's next, what's next. So doing scent work for her, but also doing high level skills where she gets to work with you one on one without her brother being present. You can see that shift. We're feeding the need, the drive in there, but they're able to redirect. So when you have dogs, when you have the doorbell, it's we can check it out. Okay, let's go. So playing the tattletale game, but playing the tattletale game with name game. I know it's a little hard to explain, and this is where it's definitely time to book our one-on-one at home so we can work at your house and work on the howling and the behaviors and finding out your environments. Really, what I want you to look at from an environmental perspective is it's going to be like building blocks. So we get Home Depot down, we get your neighborhood down, we get your home down, then we get eventually here down. This is an exciting place. The other thing with what we can't necessarily practice in day school perfectly is that as much as they're becoming bonded with me, they have a stronger bond with you. So when they are together in the lobby, they don't really bark for me. Um, I have to trigger that barking in some capacity. I have to put them in a situation that is stressful, or hey, there are a ton of dogs going past, and then I can work with it. But with you, they are very comfortable. So it's kind of like a kid that gets home after school. They're really good at school. They're really good. And they get home and they just blah, unpack everything. It happens a lot with dogs and the owners is that the dogs feel safe with you. So then they're like, I'm just going to unpack all the stuff and be almost worse than they were in training or worse than they were in work that work. So we teach the mechanics and it's getting you comfortable with maintaining and repeating it. So Here is going to be like Disneyland. We're going to have a high threshold. We'll get you there. I promise we'll get you there. But this is where that one-on-one comes into play, so you can have that success at home. Um, there's a couple other things that are attached to this video to try to help explain what's going on. But again, it's one of those things where I think it's definitely time to do the one-on-one, to work in person, to really help you get the mechanics down. You have your basics, but it's now how to use your basics in the harder thresholds, how to trigger them, and having that, like, it's like a sandwich. And again, I use a ton of analogies, but it's like the sandwich. You don't like the lettuce, you're going to take out the lettuce and you're going to put something you do like, say cheese, but it's a core skill. So instead of the barking, we're going to pull out the barking and we're going to do a sit. We're going to do name game. We're going to do place instead of that barking. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Let me know if you have questions. And again, let's do that one-on-one, but enjoy the video after this because I'll have different pieces and parts for it for you. Hey, so here is Annabelle. We're working in the lobby and we're going to see treats and dogs actually go past in this video. So what I'm asking her is for her name. She has to sit in front of me, and then I'm going to ask her for place. I did do walking work with them, and I don't have a great option of like filming it to show how to work on that redirection when you're walking. I have struggled on getting that, especially with both dogs, so I do apologize. But I can show you in a controlled setting. So if this was at home, having that place caught, having a bed, a couch ottoman, something where they know that's their targeted spot, and then you practice throwing treats, you throw balls, you can have Finnegan be free roam and Annabelle's stuck there. I would recommend having them attached to whether it's their leash or their harness. And you're working on, nope, you have to place. Can you drop the leash and unload your dishwasher and then come back and release her afterwards? If you can get this down, then when it's that impulse of a person, the doorbell knocking, something on the TV, a dog walking past, she was focused on Bubba Moose, but she let him walk past without barking. Now there's going to be a secondary dog that does walk past that she does struggle with in letting go. It's a smaller dog. It's a floofier dog. And so she was like, I don't know what to do with this. So this is where getting her to replace that barking with a different behavior, replace that barking with, hey, I need to do this instead. And it's also working on impulse. Like I'm tossing treats and I'm working on that impulse of, nope, you have to stay right here. You have to ignore that thing that just flew past your nose. Now, you'll notice that I release her on the other side of the place caught. This is where it's still maintaining that leave it. So it's sometimes I get those treats and sometimes I don't get those treats. Again, really having kind of fun with that impulse release and impulse control. Now you'll notice in just a moment this woman walks past and her dog's going to be coming out. This is the dot pup that Annabelle wasn't quite ready to let go of yet. She doesn't bark at this woman. She is leaning a little hard, but she's leaning more so because of the treats that are in front of her. So I get her redirected, and ideally right here, I'm trying to get her eye contact. I'm trying to get her to disengage. Now I'm purposely standing off to the side of her. I'm not standing in front and body blocking, but this is where at home you could step in front of her like a door that's closed, and she has no other choice but to look up to you. And you can see her, she's laying down, she's doing pleasing behaviors, but she's doing letter of the law. She is doing everything but giving me eye contact. Now I let her have the treats before the dog comes out because we're going to reduce the things that we are working on impulse wise. So I'm going to ask her for that place again. So she's going to go up in just a second. She's sniffing. So she sits and she's like, I did it. See? And she is giving me that eye contact, which is phenomenal. But this is where in just a moment, when that dog comes out, she does bark a little bit. Now, she doesn't come off place, but she's barking. So it's one of those things where when we talk about letter of the law, she's listening, but she's only listening to an extent. So I'm standing right in front of her, like that door that's closed off, and you can see where she's trying. There, she lets out one, but then I get her to settle, and she's focused and paying attention to me. That's what we want. You're still going to get some barking. You're still going to get some pushiness, but it's not bulldozing through you. And right there, we reinforce it really quickly again, and we reward and move on. So this is the type of thing to practice in your neighborhood and your front yard when you have a handyman come over, when the doorbell rings, all different things that you can practice. Now I did the same thing with Finnegan. Now he is a goofy dude. He is kind of your more laid back, chilled little dude, but he's also like, now I'm gonna bark. And he telegraphs with his entire body when he is getting ready to um, tell a dog off or tell the picture of a dog off. Now, funny enough, I have not been able to get him to react to any of my stuffed animals, to any of our big pictures. He's like, I know what they are, no big deal. So, the one thing I haven't done yet is like turn on my computer, like it's a TV with the dog on it, and practice that way. But when he's by himself, when he's just doing this, he's got this skill down. Now he's definitely more, I don't want to say houndy because they both are very much beagles, but he is much more in his scent game. He loves sniffing. Um, so right here, I ask him for that place command once he's decided that he's focused, and this is what I do. I do the same things that I did with Annabelle. I toss the treats, and he has to leave it. Now, I do give him a couple tap taps on the leash of, hey, I need you to focus. And he listens beautifully with this. Now, my body language is pretty relaxed and off to the side. Now, I do release him on the other side, similar to what I did with Annabelle, so that way he doesn't always get those treats. Now, here's a clip with a stuffed dog. This is where I had someone move it up for us. And so this is where he was still kind of fidgety, like, I don't know about this thing. He wasn't quite barking, but he was still not quite settled. I get him to do a place, and you can see where he's really, really thinking about it, really struggling with it, but we get him onto it. And then see right here, he is purposely helping himself. He is trying to keep his back to the thing that he would bark at normally, which honestly is him trying to self-regulate. It's a great sign that he's understanding the concept that we're asking, but we have to keep encouraging it to where he feels comfortable, like he owns that skill. This is where, we're chatting, we're talking a little bit to the people in the front, and then, okay, let's go check it out. And I do let him go up and sniff it. Let's go see. But then I keep walking past, and he's like, oh, no big deal, cool. Now, if this was another dog, probably a totally different situation. But it is giving him used to, I can go up and relax. I don't have to go up and, I'm getting ready to, pop off, or, ooh, what's this? And show my big, handsome self. Second time he walks past, not a problem. Name game is where the dogs have to come and sit in front of you. So if I say, Finnegan, we want this type of behavior. He sits, he looks, he was sniffing on the floor, and then he can go back sniffing on the floor after he's checked in with me. Now, when you practice this at home, which honestly, more than likely 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to do that. It's when you have another dog, when the doorbell goes, when that thing that causes them to howl, it's, hey, can you call them amongst that? So we practice this in the lobby, we practice this in the daycare yard, we practice this at home on our walks, because that's where you get them to redirect. They are flipping the switch versus you trying to flip the switch, if that makes any sense. So he's sniffing, he's exploring, he's doing his thing, and I say, Finnegan. He's not paying attention, so I'm going to mark it. Finnegan. Yes, good boy. That's good boy. Okay. And then you go off, you go. Now, I do have treats scattered throughout this room because he is very much about sniffing and finding the scent. Very much a hound in that capacity. So when he's searching for it, can he disengage from that trail? Finnegan. Yes. And then you make it a game where you're the ultimate resource. So having maybe their kibble around, but you have the treats. Maybe it's something smelly around, like you're out at the park and they're smelling the things in the grass, and then you have that, toy, the treat, whatever it is, higher value to have them turn around and focus with you. Because the idea is that it's the disengagement part that we want. Yes, good boy, come on. Finn, come on. Yes, good boy. Good. That was a good boy. Yes, let's go check it out. Come on. Yes. Yes. Okay, let's go. Good. We're gonna check it out. Come on. What's this? What is it? Yes. Okay, let's go. That's good boy. Yes. So what you can do right here is get him, when he sees the thing that he howls at, it's okay, let's go check it out. Let's go check it out. We see it. Yes, good boy. Let's pull away from it and reward from walking away from it. You can also do it when he is there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Pull him to you in some capacity, whether it's game of chase, whether it's toys. No, he's by himself. He doesn't have his sister with him. This is where working them individually. I know it's really hard at home, but this is where one goes in the kennel or in a bedroom, and you work with the other one, and then you swap um, to break down the behavior and help them focus and redirect.